Well, good morning everybody. I hope you are safe and well wherever you are in the world. At the moment I'm in PlantsHill Wood in Coventry, United Kingdom, and I'm going to be doing the Three Woods walk today, and so I hope you're all keeping safe and well. And thank you, I have to say straight away, it's much appreciated, those of you who have subscribed, liked, rung the bell, and shared. That is fantastic. Thank you so much. And I do have to say thank you for the lovely comments. That is fantastic. So we're going through the PlantsHill Wood, as I say, and today I'm going to think about something that actually sounds a little morbid, but in fact it's got a positive end. So if you could hang on there till the end. I've been digitizing slides, photos, and from way back, and we had a picture of part of the family from history. We knew who the people were, but it's a long while ago. And so who was on the picture? Well, there were pictures of children sitting on the knees or standing by the knee of mums and dads, and then behind them were grandparents. And this was a black and white photo, and one of the guys at the back had a First World War uniform on, so it was, you can tell, a while ago. And then you suddenly realize, it suddenly occurs to you that there's nobody, including the babies, nobody is alive on that picture, because it was 120 years ago or something like that. And it's sort of shocking in a way, especially as I brought it to life with colour, and of course that made it look sort of more modern, except the fact that of course it wasn't more modern. So it was an excellent way to bring history to light, as it were. And now the positive bit. One of them was one of the babies, the young children, probably about 5, maybe 7, was my wife's mother. And of course that generation, our parents now, we're 74, or Irene will be shortly, and that generation has gone. In fact, there were 3 generations on the picture. The guy in the First World War uniform, and then the parents, and then the children, and 3 generations, and they've gone. So where does this lead us? Well, of course this is nothing new, except that, of course, way back in history, when we were kids and we saw these old photos, some of the people on them would still be alive, and it's because of when photography started. Now, because of this, it meant that it started the back end of 1800s, and so therefore some of them would still be alive. They might be 70 or 80, but there was some around. But of course, as time has gone on now, we are able to look at photographs where everybody on the picture has gone. I like to look at some of the old black and white, the early films from the turn of last century, 1898, somewhere around there, to early 1900s. And of course there are films from then, and when you see the black and white films, especially when they're corrected and colorized, again they don't look as long ago, until you realize the transport. And of course the transport was horse and carts, and then there was horses pulling trolley buses or whatever they were called on rails, and some of those are fascinating. But then suddenly you realize all those people who had a life, who were going about their business, who weren't doing as well as we are today, suddenly you realize that they're all dead. And I know that sounds dramatic and it doesn't sound so good, but 2 things. Firstly, our lives are much improved on theirs. They didn't have the antiseptics. They didn't have the things that killed the bugs. And when they had pandemics, there wasn't going to be an inoculation to sort it out. So firstly, the first positive out of this is that our days, however bad they seem, and looking at the news is not a good idea because it presents you constantly with things you can't change rather than lovely things that are going on. And so there's the first thing. It does tell you that we're doing better than they were then. They still had the wars and all the rest of it. And secondly, as my dear old dad said in his 80s, life is very short, enjoy it. And I think that's the truth, isn't it? I don't mean going off into hedonism, but where you find yourself, enjoy where you are in the moment. I certainly enjoy being in these woods, but enjoy where you are. Now, anybody and everybody, every one of us will go through patches that are not good. They are difficult to enjoy, I'll be honest. But there's usually only a time that it takes before you come out of those bad patches. So, what would I say? Well, enjoy where you are if you are able to at the moment. So now we're going to leave, after my little thought for the day, so to speak. Now I'm going to leave PlantsHill Wood and cross the road. Look at these. I'm sorry to keep going on about this. I just love the greening of nature in the spring. It is the portents, the promise of summer. And so here we are. You've been here before. I'm sorry I can't go further. We will be able to in the not too distant future. And you can see we're going into Pigwood. There. So we're in Pigwood. I'm actually doing this trip today because I want to see how the frog spawn is doing. The last time I were here, Good gracious, try English, Dave. The last time I was in these woods, I went to Tile Hill Wood, which is the next one after this, and the frogs were all, well, I don't know if it's such a thing, but it looked like a frog orgy. There were loads and loads of them all trying to go after the one lady, but she was already otherwise engaged. And so this was a busy time for froggies. Now I want to see what they're doing. Are they, have they hatched? I don't suppose they have yet, but I want to see how they're getting on. Probably the frogs have dispersed because they're not the best parents in the world. From allegedly, I have to say that, don't I? Allegedly, they're not the best parents in the world, and they all clear off once they've mated. They disappear. Bluebells coming up. They won't be flowering yet. Yes, they. Yeah, I suppose you could report them to the council for child abuse because they're doing nothing with the babes. They just leave them, you know. Okay, tough luck, get on with it, you know. I don't know. It's not good. Frog parents are not good. But yes, well, I did tell you I was the rambling rambler. And so what I'm doing is rambling. What did you expect? It's a fine day, and as always, the weather forecast haven't got it right. Best computers in the world, and they still can't get it right. Today, I've got 3 layers on. A gilet, a little jacket, and then I've got my all-weather gear. And what's the result? Well, they said it was 8, feels like 7. Now, I tell you, it's 15, feels like 13, something like that. That's what's actually happening. I'm not too certain what the relevance is of the actual temperature. It's what it feels like that matters, but in the UK, they very rarely get it correctly. And when they do, it's only by accident because they say, oh, there's a 50-50 chance of rain today. And then they claim victory wherever you are because they said some people had rain and some people didn't. We got it absolutely right. It's no help if you want to go out walking for the day, is it? Where you're told